Okay, good evening, everyone. A little bit of a tangent to the opening of the meeting today. I'm going to be opening the meeting today. So hello and good evening. I hope everyone is doing good today. I want to remind you that the meeting is being recorded, and I think you heard that right there. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. The time is 5:32. But before we start, I'd like to actually recognize the following important celebrations and observations this month. First of all, it's Women's History Month, and International Women's Day was actually on March the 8th. So to all the women out there, happy Women's Day, International Women's Day. You guys are awesome, and we're really proud of you for what you do every day in your daily lives and the way you run your lives, your families and work. Really proud of you guys. Also, we want to acknowledge Neuros. Neuros, now am I saying that properly, Manijeh? I know there's lots of ways of saying it.
Nowruz.
Yes,
Nowruz.
yeah, that's a way of saying it, that's a way of writing it.
Spelling it, yeah.
Yes.
So Nowruz is coming up March 21st, am I right? March 21st, am I right? Yes.
Yes.
And we're going to hear more about that from yourself during the cultural sharing part. So we look forward to hearing more about that. And then March 31st is also International Transgender Day of Visibility. So we want to acknowledge that as well. So let's just first, order of business is to approve the minutes, last month's minutes. If you could just take a minute to look at those minutes. I'll give you a second to do that. Anyone have any corrections to the minutes? Nope. Okay. Speak up if you do. All right, no, good. All right, so can we have someone approve the minutes? Can someone move the minutes?
I motion.
Okay, Manijeh, and can I have a second?
I second.
Okay, thanks, Anisha.
Mhm.
All right, so the all in favor say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
All right, got it. And all opposed say nay. No, all good, all good. All right, great. So the motion has been passed and the minutes from last month, February, have been approved. So that's all good. Thank you, everyone, for doing that. So we're going to move on to the next agenda item, and I'm going to hand it now back to Ahmed, who's going to lead the meeting, because I'm going to be taking minutes now. All right, Ahmed, back to you.
Thank you so much. And again, we want, like, for all the women in this room, we want to say Happy International Women's Day. And I always say, because some people, they say like they are half of the community. I believe they are more than half of the community, because you are already half of the community and responsible to raise the other half. So I want to say Happy International Women's Day, and I'm so proud of you, that you have time to come and advocate for your community. So second item on our agenda, we will talk about solidarity with Ukraine. And as a refugee who came from war zone, I want to say for all the people in Ukraine or got affected from that war, the war, it's painful. And I've been in war zone almost 30 years, more than 30 years. And I saw what the war means and how much we lost people in war. And I honestly, personally believe no one will win in war. Every side will have lost. And it's painful. And again, this is Women International Day, and the most people who will got affect women, because they will lose their kids, they will lose a husband, they will lose a son, they will lose a brother. So this will be hard to acknowledge that the war, it's destroying everything. And we will honestly it's painful. It's very painful. it's so hard to see all those people dead and like kids run away and like female, they crying, they are panicking and like building destroy, especially when I see news. All those like noises that's bring a lot of memories from the war that I witnessed for almost like 3 years, starting from 1980 till I moved from Baghdad. So again, Olga, I just want to say everybody in this room will support you and your family and your like your community, and we are here if there is any need, any help you think we can provide, just let us know. And we are here, we're feeling you, we're hearing you, so please like accept our feeling and our support too. Thank you everybody to being a good listener, and I know like all the people in this room, they have same feelings about the war and what happened right now. So we will move to the second, our next item in our agenda. We will open.
Ahmed,
Yes.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to point out we do have we have up to 10 minutes for this agenda item. So if you wanted to leave some space, if anybody else wanted to make a comment, we still have time for that.
Okay, if anybody in this room want to like express his feelings about how they see this, please share us. This is like, we can say it's like an open mic for everybody, please. Yes, Manijeh.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction, Ahmed, to that there is no winner in the war. I'm from Iran, and we had a long war with Iraq. And unfortunately, when Iran was invaded by Iraq, we know that it wasn't Iraqi people, but the government was kind of United States was the whole reason to bring Iraq to Iran. And so right now also Ukraine, my new year is starting, but I'm in no mood of celebrating really, because it's so sad because I have seen what's happening to the people, and losing your house, losing everything. And one night you have all your loved ones around you, and the next minute you have no one around you. That is so sad. And the problem is also in this war, even racism also plays a role in that. I was hearing the news, listening to the news, and this reporter from Poland, from one of the countries that they are accepting a lot of Ukrainians. And he was saying, oh, this is a European thing. And it's different from like some people coming from Middle East or that. I mean, that was so painful to hear. Come on, just put all these, I'm sorry for my word, for my language, stupidity away. People are people, humans are humans. When you lose your life, it doesn't matter what color we are, which nationality. And that is even makes the situation even more painful. And when I heard that, it was so just really sad. But my heart goes out for all these people who are experiencing this awful life these days, and the kids. And I mean, there is no word or no speech that we can give to make it easier. So I'm sorry I took so long. I give the mic to other people.
Thank you, Manijeh. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
No one's speaking out, throw my 2 cents in there, I guess. There's a saying that says, you know, for what does it profit a man to lose, to gain the world and lose his soul? And that's pretty much what I see. You know, we're all trying to gain something, the upper hand over someone, you know, something, you know, land or whatever it is. But do we really sleep well at night, you know, when we lose our soul in trying to like take something from someone else. And because really at the end of the day, you know, you're going to breathe the same amount of air, whether you had the possessions or not. So it is really something that saddens me that people don't examine themselves to see that what they're doing, they may gain something for now in this world, but they lose something for the future world and the future generations. So that was my thought on war. The other thing, you know, for International Women's Day, I wanted to read something real quick. It is translated in English from Punjabi, which is a Sikh language. And it talks about the importance of women. And it says that from a woman, a man is born. Within a woman, a man is conceived. To women, he is engaged and married. Woman becomes his friend. Through woman, the future generations come. When his woman dies, he seeks another woman. To woman, he is bound. So why call the women bad or treat them bad? From her, kings are born. From women to women, from women, women are born. Without women, there would be no one at all. So I just thought I'd kind of share that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other? So Alexis, let's move to the next item in our agenda. Or we like.
Olga, I just saw you put your hand up. Were you speaking or just waving?
Just saying, if you want to get more information, be involved in rallies, email me directly and I will hook you up with leaders. It's not in Beaverton, it's in Portland. So we don't organize anything in Beaverton. So it's important, so let me know. I can just tell you information.
Olga, could you please share information? Because like for me, I don't know anything about the rally. So if you can share the information about the rally, maybe people, they will be interested and come to show the support.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
I'm happy to pass it along to the board if you want to send it. If it's easiest to just send it to me, I can forward it on. Thanks. Yes, Ahmed, so we're ready to go to a public comment, it sounds like. So we have a couple of folks, and I know that some of them want to share their screen. So Juliet and Allison, or Ali, would you like to go first? I've promoted you to panelists so that you can share screen if you need to.
I think Gina, she wants to say something. She have her, I don't know, maybe she changed her mind. No, she's still there. Gina, she wanted like to share something. She was like the first person I saw like her hand raise up. And after that, we have Judy.
Okay.
Please, Gina.
Jenna, go ahead.
Gina.
Thanks. Sorry, I didn't want to like cut the line, so I put my hand down. Hi, everyone. I think I've met most everyone, but just in case, my name is Jenna Hughes. I'm a planner with the Community Development Department, and I just wanted to share a public engagement opportunity for the Cooper Mountain Community Plan. I know Kasera has come to you all before. I think she was here in December to give an update. And Monica and Manijeh have participated in doing an equity analysis, but essentially the Cooper Mountain Community Plan will be planning brand new neighborhoods in the Cooper Mountain area, which is kind of near Mountainside High School. And we want to hear people's feedback on the plan alternatives. So there's going to be an open house launching later this week, and it'll go till April 4th. If you want to provide feedback, and there will also be a live virtual event happening on March 31st, 6 to 7:30 p.m. I will put the project the project website URL in the chat if you want to learn more about the upcoming opportunities, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I think we have another comment. So Judy, I think.
Yes, we have several more. We have next we'll have Juliet and Ali.
Yes.
Then we'll go to Ramesh and then Jasmine.
Okay,
It's okay. I'll screen share.
I think Judy, she
go ahead.
raised her hand first.
I've got them in a queue, Ahmed. So
Okay.
I'll put Jody at the end. She'll
Okay.
be okay with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Beaverton Diversity Advisory Board. My name is Ali Montalongo, and I am the principal at Cooper Mountain Elementary School in Beaverton. I have the distinct honor of Hiral Panja, who's a member of your board here. His son goes to my school now, and myself and Juliet Hong, who is a very respected member of staff here at Cooper Mountain, wanted to talk to you a little bit about our AAPI Parent Affinity Group that we have at Cooper Mountain. So we started this group last year, and we decided to start this group because our Asian American Pacific Islander students and families make up our largest minoritized group at Cooper Mountain. I've only been here this is only my third year, but traditionally my experience has been that we haven't really heard the voices of this group of people. And so Juliet and I met together to kind of talk about how can we get more involved, how can we get more voices, and how has this impacted our school community. In an effort to not take too much time or space, I'm going to hand it over to Juliet to speak a little more specifically about our group.
Thanks, Ali. I'll be as quick as I can. So this group is a group of parents who are committed to learning about equity. We decided long ago that this is not a multicultural group that puts on events. This is a group of parents who are empowered to navigate the school system, to advocate for their children. And so our learning over the last 2 years has been around equity. And one of the recent things that came up in the national headline that caught our attention is the New Jersey mandate to teach Asian American history in their schools. And we were very, very, very excited because it's about time that our students are represented in our curriculum. And so after doing some research, I reached out to Dr. Connie in New Jersey. Ali and I had both an opportunity to attend one of her seminars just on Friday called Make Us Visible. And she pointed out to us that Oregon actually has an ethnic studies bill that was passed in 2017 called HB 2845. And it is a mandate by the state of Oregon that says that we must include ethnic and social minorities within our curriculum. Ethnic minorities, which are in reference to Native Americans, African, Asian, Pacific Islander, Chicano, Latino, Middle Eastern descent. Social minorities means women, people with disabilities, immigrants, refugees, and individuals who identify themselves as LGBTQ. So you're going to probably wonder, well, what's on this bill? Well, you can find that in kindergarten. One of the things that they're asking educators to do is to develop an understanding of identity formation related to self, family, community, gender, and disability. Another kindergarten target, identify examples of unfairness or injustice towards individuals or groups and the change makers who work to make this world a better place. So this has been a complete shift in our education system where we're saying that even as young people, that they have the right to have access to this type of education, that they are willing to be to have the liberty to question what they're learning and the world around them. And so one of the things that we wanted to, Diversity Advisory Board, sorry, I thought I had it wrong, is to ask these two questions is, how can we reimagine a community partnership with the city of Beaverton, with you, that elevates the identities of Beaverton students and staff of color? And how can we advance K-12 educational access with the city of Beaverton, an educational experience that elevates our ethnic and social identities K-12? So how can we do this together? And so those are the two questions that I just wanted to share with you. And I hope that we can be continued in partnership and that we can visit again and talk more about this and the work that we're doing at Cooper Mountain.
Thank you so much to both of you. I hope you will share that presentation. I'm happy to share it with the board and stay in touch. Next up, we have Ramesh, and then we have Jasmine and Jody. So just ask each of you to try to keep it to about 2 minutes-ish. Thank you.
Yeah, a very good morning to you guys. I'm coming from the faraway land of India this morning, 6 o'clock in the morning here. A lot of familiar faces, so happy to see old friends, and I hope I'm going to make some new friends. For those of you who don't know me, I'm here today to talk to you as the chair of the Cultural Coalition of Washington County. We are a volunteer board of members who distribute funds to local arts and cultural organizations from the money we get from Oregon Cultural Trust. So we are trying to send out some surveys to get an understanding of what is the state of art, culture, community, and humanities in our Washington County. I come here mainly because I know all of you who are representatives of various communities and various demographics and various cultural backgrounds are my best resource to reach out to the community within Washington County and try and give us some kind of a feedback in terms of what's happening with arts and culture. Are there enough resources? Are there enough events? Is it reaching out to the kind of people we need? Is it reaching out to the kind of, I think someone used the term earlier saying, are there enough opportunities for the public to participate in these kind of features and so on? So today I ask you guys to keep me in mind, keep my organization in mind so that you'll hear a lot more about me. Probably next month I'll be back. I'll give you details about, here is the survey, please tell us what you think. Please give us your inputs so that we can come back and give the community's funds back to the community so that the awareness of the various ethnic, demographic, cultural identifying groups within the community is made aware throughout the Washington County, and we can even better that scenario. So if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, or I think Alexis knows my coordinates. I'll also try and send you a little note later. And if you can distribute that email to these members, I think we can get the word out. We as a diverse community, we can do it. And Alexis will say, we've done it before. And those of you who know my history, I'm sorry, I had to have my chai alone. I cannot share it with you today. Thank you, guys.
I want tea.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ramesh.
I know I miss sharing this chai with you. One of these days, I promised Alexis, I'll be back with my thermos.
Thank you so much, Ramesh. Yes, happy to pass along info that you share.
Thank you so much.
Jasmine, would you like to go next?
Hi, hello, yes. Hi, everyone. Jasmine, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm the volunteer recruiter with CASA for Children. Not sure if folks are familiar with our organization, but we train, recruit, and support diverse community volunteers to speak up for abused and neglected children who are under court protection. So CASA is an acronym. It stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. And they're volunteers that provide a stable, caring presence in children and youth's lives while they're in foster care, living in foster care. And our program does serve Washington County. So I'm just here, I'm new to my role to connect with local community members in the county and learn more about the work that the DAB is doing and just spread the word about CASA. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think now, Judy?
Jody, yeah, she's our last one that would like to make a comment. Go, Jody.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jody Monroy, and I am going to be this year's night market manager, and I have been the Beaverton night market manager for the past several years. And I just wanted to say hi and introduce myself to everyone. I just read the email from Alexis about the subcommittee that will be meeting starting April 4th. So I'm super excited to start working with some some new faces and some old faces, and to take a look at what this year will look like. Feel free. I do love to attend DAB meetings and be inspired. So y'all feel free to ask me any questions, or ask your subcommittee members any questions as needed.
Thank you so much, Judy. And of course, you are one of the great people who always cooperate for the Beaverton Night Market. Thank you so much for your time and your effort and to being here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So is there any other public comment, Alexis? That's it? Okay. So then we will go to the most interesting, I think, part in our meeting today, the culture sharing. And because this this month it's like March, and everybody, I don't know if you know, like that March 21 will be the new year for the Persian and Kurdish community. So first we will invite Manijeh to share her some of her huge culture and how they celebrate that day. And we want to say Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ahmed. And thank you all for giving me this chance. And happy Nowruz. Nowruz, no means new, and Ruz means day. So when we say happy day, and it starts with the beginning of spring. And this year, is, the turn of the year is going to be on Sunday, March 20th in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. I don't know the seconds exactly, because we count even the seconds, and the turn of the year, it has very kind of precise. So it has to do with the leap year. And since this year is leap year, we're going to have our celebration turn of the year on March 20th. And it has a lot of kind of good things for kids, because kids really love it. And because they get gifts, they get money, a lot of money as gifts. For Nowruz, part of Nowruz is like the last Tuesday evening of the night before the Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the year. Iranians and all Persian speaking people, or whoever who has been under the influence of the greater Iran, like Uzbekistan, Kurdistan, Iraq, it has been all part of the bigger Iran. And so they, whoever has been influenced by that culture, they celebrate the beginning of the Nowruz, the beginning of spring as Nowruz. And since it's a foreign language, when you write it in English, some people write it Nowruz or Nowroz, different spellings and different saying. Like, for example, Kurdish people say Nowruz, or we in Iran, we say Nowruz. And as I said, no means new, Ruz means day. And so we have, and the whole umbrella is under the Persian New Year. And then since the different cultures are celebrating it as well, like Iraq, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all these, Tajikistan, as I said, Kurdistan, we say Persian New Year, Kurdish style, Persian New Year, Uzbek style. And so the Persian comes first, and then different kind of different styles. Like I heard newly that, like Chinese New Year, Chinese New Year is being celebrated in Philippines, but nobody says Philippine New Year. Everybody says Chinese New Year. Then it's starting saying Lunar New Year, but Arabic here is also lunar. So Arabic here is not Chinese. So I don't know why they keep wanting to change these names, which is kind of bringing kind of divide and conquer philosophy goes kind of beneath all these changes. Anyway, on the last evening before the Wednesday of the year, we start kind of celebrating Nowruz by building up different bonfires, and we sing these songs that my yellowness goes to you, to the fire, and your redness comes to me, and we call it Charshambe Suri. Charshambe means Wednesday, and Suri means either red or celebration. It has two meanings. So we at night we kind of jump over the fire and sing this song that we kind of say we keep all our sorrows to you, to fire, and we get your beautiful redness to our face. And I just want to make it short. On the day of on the evening, I mean, we grow some greens, either wheat or lentil, and we set our table with for at least 7 items that start with the letter S, and which in Persian the word in English starts with S. And then everybody, all these items are symbolic. Like for example, Sib means apple, is one of the S's. Vinegar is one of the, serke is one of them, and each of them has a symbolic meaning. And here I kind of stop talking and ask Alexis to play a couple of links that I have sent her, and I thank you for listening to me, and happy Nowruz.
Happy Nowruz and Bianetth. Thank you so much for all this information. Like one day we can maybe we can celebrate together for that. And I think we have like a video, short video we will see talking about like how people they celebrate Nowruz. So enjoy. Thank you.
I think I've set up the audio correctly, but stop me right away if you can't hear it.
Welcome to a traditional Nowruz celebration. Wait, what is Nowruz, you may ask? Well, it literally translates to New Day, and it's the Persian New Year. It celebrates the beginning of spring. But Nowruz isn't just a special celebration for Iranians like me. From Afghanistan and Azerbaijan, all the way to Central Asia and Northern India, it is thought that nearly 190 million people celebrate Nowruz. And although it's often believed to have Zoroastrian origins, it's a holy day for some branches of Islam too. However, for many of us, it is now a secular holiday. Celebrations begin at the exact moment of the spring equinox, when the sun passes above the equator. It's the point that night and day are the same length. This usually happens on the 21st of March, and it marks the first day of the Persian calendar. And it's this, the Nowruz table, that is the center of many celebrations. In Iran, we call it Haftzin, or 7 S's, and 7 in Iran is a lucky number. Although other cultures may do it differently, we put 7 symbolic items on it starting with S. Sabze, made with wheat or lentils, and it represents rebirth. Samanu is a dish that gives common wheat a new life as a sweet, creamy pudding. In Central Asia, they call it sumalak, and it's often considered as the most important item on the Haftzin table. Sib means apple, and it represents health and beauty. Senjet, the sweet and dry fruit of lotus tree, represents love. Sir, which translates to garlic in Persian, represents medicine or good health. Somaq, a Persian spice representing sunrise and light overcoming darkness. And finally, serke, which translates to vinegar, and it represents age and patience. But getting all this together takes weeks of preparation. First, we start with khune tekuni, which literally translates to shaking of the house, a spring clean. And then we go and buy new clothes to wear at the Haftzin table, so we can look our best for Nowruz. Then we start painting eggs, which represents fertility. This is also a common tradition in parts of Afghanistan and Azerbaijan. There are many other special traditions attached to Nowruz, most famously the Chaharshanbe Suri, a festival which involves jumping over bonfires on the last Wednesday before Nowruz. So now we have the Hafsin here, but we can't start the celebration until our friends and families get here so we can really celebrate Nowruz, the Persian New Year. Nowruzatun Mubarak.
Wow, that's like awesome video, and I like it honestly because that's bring a lot of memories. So we will have another one.
What's Nowruz, you ask? Well, it's the Persian New Year. It's a celebration of spring and it marks the first day of the Iranian calendar. This is one of the oldest Persian supermarkets in the heart of London, and it's always buzzing around the New Year.
For me, it's been brought down through my generation. We've been told about the culture of Iran and the celebration of the New Year, which brings new light of spring into action for the year. And it's just a time to be joyful.
This is called a Hafsin. I'll be making one at home too.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And right now the year is going to be 1401. So next Sunday, the year 1401 will start. Thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you so much, Manijeh, for all the information and those awesome videos. Like bring a lot of memories and like remind me how we was like celebrating Nowruz. Even like Arabic people who like we was like celebrating that like many ways. So I think we have a question or comment. Yes, please, Harold.
Yeah, so Manijeh, I mean, do we have any community celebration for this, like nearby in Beaverton or Portland?
Thank you for asking. We every year we had it and the PSU, the big, and because of COVID, we stopped having them. And right now we have different, like in different communities, and they celebrate small ones. And I haven't heard any big one like from at PSU yet. And if I do, I will. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, let us know. I would like to.
Of course, I will share it with you. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Thank you so much. So I think let's go to the like next item in our agenda. So we will have like liaison introduction and report, and we will start with Councilor Allison Tivnon. Please.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, everybody. This is such a great way to start off the week. And I really enjoyed reading through the minutes from the retreat. It sounds like it was a wonderful day. So I know we're keeping to schedule tonight, so I'll try and keep this brief, but please ask questions as follow-up to anything I mentioned. And you can follow up with me at any time, of course, grab time on the phone. I have a couple of people who've reached out to get coffee, and it hasn't happened for one reason or another, but we will very soon. So I'm going to put in the link or the chat here. This should take you to the agenda for tomorrow night's meeting. I figure I can do that anytime we meet. These are available online. The great thing about these agendas is that every single item we're going to talk about in them, there's a hyperlink within that agenda that will take you to the actual reading material that the counselors read prior to going into the city council meetings. So this is all the information that we have. And I know a lot of people aren't aware that this exists. There's a lot of background information that goes into the discussions and the decision-making that happens at the council meetings, and knowledge is power. So I wish that our agendas weren't so hard to find, and they're a little confusing when you look at them. So maybe at some point on some future agenda for this meeting, I could walk through exactly how to read the agenda and what the different line items on it mean. I know I needed training in it when I first joined the council. The three main things that are going to be happening at tomorrow's meeting is a retrospective on this short session that we just had at the state legislative down in Salem, the state legislature. We have a lobbyist who works on behalf of the city of Beaverton named Gwen Baldwin. She comes in and talks with council fairly regularly about what's happening down in Salem and how Beaverton can stay involved in the decisions that are made at the state level. This is really savvy stuff, and not every city does this, but it can really help us position ourselves to get state funding, but also it ties our values to what's happening in the Capitol. And so we look at the strategic priorities for that the council has set, what the city is working on, the things that the city really cares about. And then we look at legislation that the electeds in Salem are working on at a statewide level, and we tell them what we think should happen. We have a very politically savvy mayor right now in Mayor Beatty, who is down in Salem quite frequently advocating on behalf of Beaverton and Washington County and just people in general. So I know I personally, before I joined council, I didn't realize just how disconnected most cities are from statewide politics. So it's really exciting to see us get very proactive about our voice in the overall bigger framework of the state. So there's a link in the agenda that will take you to all of the different items that were being discussed in the legislature that we cared about, and also how they fared. And Gwen Baldwin is going to give us an update on that tomorrow night. And then the other two is there's a project that's been in the works for a very long time called the Allen Boulevard Shared Use Path. And this is basically at the very end of Allen Boulevard, if you're going east towards Portland, and you pass by a Burgerville on one side, and then it ends in a T, and there's a little trail that's right there, and then it makes a right and you can go over to Multnomah Boulevard. It's kind of an abrupt ending. That trail ends, and then a ways down the street, the Fano Creek Trail picks up. And so the idea is to create a connector route there for bicyclists and pedestrians to be able to walk that trail and continue on to our beautiful Fano Creek Trail, and also create some safety features to it and some circulation improvements for the traffic right there. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. And then housing options is another one that is continually coming before council to go back to the state legislature. They passed a bill that says that every single city that's above 10,000 people has to allow for multifamily within single family residential areas, which is a big deal. That could be duplexes, triplexes, or townhomes, or cottage clusters, which is an interesting kind. But this has big ramifications for all cities, and we've really had our acts together since even before it passed, and are working our way through all the significant code changes that have to happen to allow for those different types of housing types within our neighborhoods to hopefully build more housing that is available for people at all income levels, especially in the middle incomes. That's why they call it missing middle housing. And I know that from the retreat notes, this is an area of great interest. So I'm happy to keep you updated on that and field your comments on it. And then the last few things, I'll hit them really fast. We had our first in-person meeting as a council at the beginning of March, which was really, really wonderful. As of right now, it's only us in chambers and everything else is virtual, but the city recorder's office, who helps us set up the meetings, did a wonderful job of making it very seamless between the people that were online versus people in the room. And eventually, I think we're going to start letting people back into chambers too. We're only having one live in-person meeting per month and the rest are virtual for right now, and we'll ease our way back into that. And we are wearing masks because Mayor Beatty and Councilor Hassan's children, they have some that are under the age of 5 and can't get vaccinated. They just feel more comfortable wearing masks. So we're all doing that for them. We are discussing the shelter coding for the city to help guide where we would choose a location for a permanent homeless shelter. I know that is also something that came up at your retreat, and I'm happy to go into detail at any time on that. And we're also continuing to have conversations around a multicultural center and where that could possibly be and what it would look like. And it's still in the very early stages and it needs to stay loud and in front of us. And I'm committed to doing that. I know Councilor Hassan is also, we have some candidates for city council that are extremely excited about it too. And I believe the mayor is as well. So if you could continue to just cheer on about that and think about it and help us think about it, that would be great. So those are my updates for tonight. Thank you. And happy to answer any questions or talk offline.
Wow, that's like a lot of information. So any question from you folks, like something you not fully understand, maybe Councilor Allison, she can give us more information about. Monica.
Hi, I saw this morning the mayor talking about finding a permanent place. They're looking around for an area for the homelessness. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling that well. So I was very excited knowing that they are doing that. Actually, you guys are working on that, and that's very exciting. I also very excited listening to the Multicultural Center. That's something that I really, really work very hard on, and I really want to see some steps down to it, and I appreciate that. Personally, the Multicultural Center is becoming, now that we're seeing, what's going on with Ukrainian and people that's leaving their countries, I would love to see that so we can help anyone who comes for the first time to the United States, wherever they come from. So I do appreciate that. I'm very thankful that you guys are working for the Multicultural Center as for the homeless project too. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Rihanna.
Hi, thanks, Councillor Allison, for that wealth of information. There's a lot there on the agenda. I just wanted to ask, do you have any updates for us on the funding issue, how much we're getting, how much the city's getting, where it's being allocated, or any sort of information that you can share with us?
There hasn't been a recent update on it. I do have links I can put into the chat on where the money was allocated for. You're speaking about the American Recovery Plan Act money. Yeah, we haven't had one since the last time we met and talked about this here. I believe I talked about it a couple of months ago, where we've got the 2 tranches of money and then the different programming that it's been allocated to. I'll put the links in and it shows where those funds are going. And I don't believe there's been any reallocations of those funds. And then in addition to that, there have been some updates at the state level and the Washington County level where they have their own funding and they are making decisions about where it goes. And I believe we've been awarded some additional funds for like the permanent homeless shelter. I think $1 million of additional money was just allocated to us. Some was also given to Hillsborough, and then other areas within Washington County to help us get our heads wrapped around this. So there are some things that are moving around where we're getting additional funds in on top of the money that we had. So while we continue to talk, I'll search it out and I'll put it into the chat.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that update.
Thank you so much. And are there any other question, clarification? Maybe I have something that I just want to like remind the city council that our community will growing up fast, especially we start to receptionists like, or as we always open the door for like Afghani community, and they growing up fast, especially from my experience with meeting a lot of families from Afghani family. They want to stuck together as a community, especially next to the like places they can go to pray or like halal markets. So I believe Afghani community will growing up fast. So we need to put in our mind that means the population for our city will growing fast too. So if there is no other question, let's move to, I think let's go to Lieutenant Matt Kingsbury for Beaverton Police Department.
1 second while Matt, you're unmuting yourself. We also did just approve the council priorities, which were at our retreat. We come up with those, and I believe that Alexis is going to be sharing a link to those. And I'm also, not tonight, but at some other point, would be happy to run down the list of what those are, or just clarify anything that's in it if you'd like that. So thank you. Sorry, Matt.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're fine. My name is Matt Kingsbury. If anybody, I think I met even the newer members in January. I'm the lieutenant that's in charge of the community services division of the police department. And what I wanted to share this month is every year we're required to do training for our officers. Some of it's just state mandated training to allow them to renew their certification as a police officer, but we also identify key areas that we feel like is going to better equip our officers to serve the community. And one of the items that we identified and put into our training plan this year is a block of instruction on cultural awareness, and specifically as it relates to law enforcement. And the reason I'm bringing this to you today is obviously there's a wide variety of different cultures represented on the Diversity Advisory Board. And we're looking for help from you if you're interested in developing and possibly even doing Q&A style interviews or sharing your thoughts as we produce hopefully what is going to be about a 2-hour training video that not only will our current officers be able to watch, but whenever we bring on new officers, we'll be able to play this video that will share things like do's and don'ts, like what we shouldn't do in an interaction with a certain culture. How can we, like other things, like how can we remove barriers and communicate better and maybe de-escalate an encounter that has gotten out of hand, or any like cultural specific communication information, like if we say or do a thing a certain way or interact with a family member without maybe interacting with a parent first, like how that may put up a barrier to that interaction. So if any of you are interested, most certainly you probably already have my email, but I'm going to throw it in the chat line. And like I said, it'll be like we're still developing the training, but we intend to have like a Q&A or a sharing, and it would be recorded. So if you're not comfortable with that, we'd still welcome input, I guess. But anyway, any questions about that, or any other questions that hopefully maybe I have the answer for, or I can get back to you next month.
I
Olga.
think Olga, she has.
Yeah, can I, right? Am I cutting anyone? No? Okay, so yeah, I would volunteer for Slavic and Eastern European country input. I can
Excellent,
also,
thank you.
yeah, I can also arrange from IRCO, Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization, some resources. And also we have information from Washington County Coalition of Color report. I can share those information with you so you can understand the demographic in Washington County. So particular in Beaverton, maybe not cover them all. So you can contact me directly. Thank
Great.
you so much. Mhm.
And then, I'm sorry, who else
I think
had their hand?
Monica, she had something, and Rihanna.
No, I just want to say to the officer Kingsbury, that I do appreciate a lot all the efforts you guys are making to become better, to put your time and to serve the whole community, everybody in your community, in the community. That's something that is very appreciated. I do appreciate that because you guys are working so hard to get united with the whole community. It doesn't matter where they're coming from. And that's very, very effective for us. And it's really, really, I'm very glad every time that I be able to work with you guys, when I, whatever I can do, translating when we do the interviews to people looking for what they need. That is something big. That is something good. And I do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, we recognize that law enforcement in different cultures is not the same as it is in the United States, and anything that we can do to make it a more positive and trusting interaction that's ultimately our goal. So, and then was it Rihanna?
Oh, yeah. Hi, Matt.
Hi.
So yeah, I would be interested in participating in that training, because I think from the Muslim women perspective, I think there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of culturally specific nuances that you can incorporate into that training, which will be valuable to the police department, because I know there have been some cases with the Muslim women who do cover, like me, the hijab, and I think the police need to know, how to tackle, how to approach women, and what to say to them and how to talk to them, and so, etc. So I think that will be useful for the police department.
Thank you.
Me too, Lieutenant. Like I will be more than happy to help with that, especially for Arabic speaker and for someone like being embedded like with the U.S. Army for 13 years in Middle East. I feel I can help with that too. So you can have me too.
Great.
So Ahmed is me too. I am me three.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions about current events or any calls or cases that you guys are curious about? Okay. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, honestly, and your update, and to open this opportunity for our board to involve, like helping. So like a payback time, like they serve our community, and now we need to help you for better service. So thank you so much. And honestly, personally, I really appreciate it. So I think now Alexis will have like staff liaison announcement.
Yes, I will be quick. I sent it to you all over email a little bit earlier, so I just want to run through real quick so that you hear anything you want to look back more closely at. So your staff liaison announcements for March, a couple of things from my team and Division 1. There is currently a study of the SRO program, School Resource Officer program, that's happening by a consultant hired by the school district and the city. They've been doing outreach through the schools for parents, but they also have an input form that they're asking if there's any other community members that aren't parents of current BSD students that you have input that you'd like to give. They've also created an input form for that. So that's what that link is. So if you do not have a student at BSD and you are interested in giving some input about school resource officers, please follow that link and fill out your input in the next week. I believe it closes on the 21st. So please go ahead and do that and share with 3 of your friends that you think might be interested as well to fill that out so they can get some input from non-parents as well. The second thing is that our Welcoming Week grant applications are open now through the beginning of May. Welcoming Week this year is going to be celebrated from September 9th through the 18th. And these are a series of grants that we give out to try to partner with different entities to sort of have anchor events during the week, and we can support in a bigger way through financial and other in-kind support. And then of course, there's also, we open up a community calendar. So even if you don't get a grant or apply for a grant, but you're thinking of doing something during Welcoming Week, we can help boost all of that in our community-wide celebration. But wanted to let you know that till May 6th, if you or anyone you know is part of an organization that wants to apply, that is open. We also opened vendor applications today for Beaverton night market vendors. So very exciting. On the night market page, there is a big button link to a bilingual application. And you also see Jody Monroy, who introduced herself earlier, her contact information there. She's really great at navigating. We're just looking for anybody who has a business that and just wants to share their culture through what they sell. That is truly what we're looking for, and for representation of cultures across the world. We have a free tax assistance program as usual. This year, they were totally virtual for a while, but they are now offering some in-person appointments. And the category of appointments is just kind of referred to as scan and go. So there's some in-person appointments between Friday and Sunday, now until April 18th, that you can get to go in, scan documents with a volunteer if you qualify, and then someone will do the rest of the process remotely. So please help spread the word for that. You do have to make an appointment ahead of time. And then city news updates from the public information team. So everybody, all boards and commissions and neighborhood associations, we make sure they get some consistent information across the board. So the first is that, of course, hopefully you know by now or have participated in some of the opening events for the Patricia Research Center for the Arts. It is now open officially, and there have been some opening celebrations up until yesterday, an open house. There's a ton of events coming up, so check out theresearch.org for more info. All city buildings are now open in person for in-person services. There's some virtual stuff going on, but just know that City Hall has reopened as well, and we are here to serve the public in person again as well. Councilor Tivnon mentioned the council meeting schedule a little bit about some in-person meetings, and also just there is a change that now there are less council meetings per month. They're just on the first and third Tuesday instead of all first 3 or 4 Tuesdays, and then a bureau meeting on the 4th Tuesday. So this month it's March 1st and March 15th are the 2 strictly city council meetings. And then save the date for State of the City, which is March 29th. And you will see the information there at 12 p.m. It is virtual, and it'll be posted on the web and social media. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Alexis. Is there any question or comment? I think Monica. Yes, Monica.
I have a question for Alexis. Do you have the flyers for the applications for vendors so we can put it on Facebook or the media if I can have it? So
yeah, thank you. Awesome. I'm supposed to, yeah, the vendor recruitment postcard, absolutely.
Okay,
thanks.
Any other comment or question for Alexis? And by the way, Lieutenant Matt, he put his email on the chat. If anybody want to shoot him email or they want to be in that advisory or classes or culture orientation, let's say it in this way, they can send email for Lieutenant Matt, and I believe he will respond to you very fast. So I think now we need to go to the next agenda item. I don't like to waste time, but this agenda item, when I first read it, when we was like prepare for the agenda, it's housing talks. So I thought like, wow, like now I know like the housing in Beaverton is so expensive, but to start talking now, so it was like funny. So I will open the mic for Bianetth Valdez from Affordable Housing Program Coordinator. So to you, Bianetth. Thank you.
Hi there. Thanks so much. It's so exciting to be here with y'all. This is my first diversity advisory board, and I'm just really enjoying that y'all have a cultural sharing moment. I was really enjoying that. Well, I'm Bianetth Valdez. I use she, her, aya pronouns. I work with the housing team here at the city of Beaverton. And I just wanted to share a little bit about this series that we're kind of embarking on called the Housing Talks. And I realized that it was something that y'all were really passionate about and interested in. So that was really great to hear, because we're also passionate about that too. I think I can share my screen, is that correct? Okay, let's see here. Gonna share, present. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, my name's Bianetth. I work with the housing team here as the Affordable Housing Program Coordinator, and excited to talk to you about what we're kind of doing in the next couple of months. So as y'all know, there has been a lot of change within the city, you know, new city council members. We've changed from now to was mostly run by mayor and now city manager model. And we're also bringing new city council members in the next couple of months. And so there's always a lot of change happening, but we want to be able to keep housing in the conversation. So that's what we're doing in the next couple of months. We want to be able to bring a lot of topics to city council, what has happened at the city, you know, what have been challenges, opportunities, what programs have been available to the community, what we want to see in the community, and also preparing to update our housing action plan. And if you don't know, we do have a housing action plan, and I'm happy to share that information with y'all after this, but it is something that we use to guide us in some of the initiatives and programs that we do with housing here at the city. So some of the topics we'll discuss are listed here. We hope to go into affordable homeownership, housing preservation and displacement prevention, development, housing and homelessness. We know that this topic and this theme is quite broad, so we want to be able to get the input from you and from other community members to hear from them. But we've also engaged a lot in the past, so we want to be able to share those voices as well. So just to kind of keep in mind, we are still tentative on when we will have those talks. We hope to start in April, and it'll go on for a couple of months, but there will be opportunities for you to engage, whether you just want to know what's going on and how you want to be kept in the know. You could totally just listen in and see what they're talking about, do written or public testimony, whatever that looks for you is comfortable to you, there'll be opportunities for that. And hopefully we'll be able to collect all of this information and put it in a digital format. And so we can keep in the know about what city council is talking about, what the community is talking about, and keep that in the forefront. There is a page currently right now, it's an events page that we have, and I'll make sure to put this in the chat if you want to check it out. It is an events page that we have, and you can keep in the know about when these talks are going to happen, and just kind of get your involvement. But tonight, I really wanted to kind of get your first, kind of dip our toes a little bit in some of the topics that we are going to be kind of going through. And the first one we hope to to do is obviously going to be about an update about housing. What have we done in the city? What's been going on? And our second talk, we hope to do around affordable homeownership. So today I kind of want to get y'all's input. Really, it's just a discussion. It's a great way for me to get an idea of what you as community members are experiencing. If you want, you could do this either online. There is a link here. You can take a picture of the code if you want on your computer screen, or you can put in the code here, and I'll also put it in the chat if that's something that you're interested in. I'm going to put it in there. But basically, I have a few questions, and I'm going to go to the next slide. So everything that you should have is on the chat. Okay, that's here. So yeah, I want to just kind of get your thoughts on some of the topic around affordable homeownership. Maybe this doesn't pertain to you, but maybe you have some experience with it, or maybe someone in the community you know has some experience with it. I would just like to hear from you. So these are some questions that I have here that might be interesting to you. We really want to understand what the community is looking for in regards to like home ownership. You know, what does owning your home mean to you? Or if you want to own a home, what would it mean to you if you did own your home? What prevents you from owning your home? If you did purchase a home here in Beaverton, what challenges did you experience in the processing of buying your home? And also asking about what other options could there be for I know the Housing Option Projects has been kind of diving into this a little bit, but I would love to hear your thoughts about what kind of homes you would, be interested in that are not your typical, home, like these larger homes that are a bit more expensive. Like we have options for townhouse, condominiums, duplex, and then also thinking about there is a community land trust model where in this model, you can buy a home, but you don't necessarily own the land. And is that something that would interest you as a community member? But I'm gonna stop sharing my screen because I want to see y'all, and I will make sure to put these questions in the chat so you have these. I'm gonna do that real quick. But in the meantime, if anybody has any thoughts that they would like to share, I'm all ears.
Thank you so much. I think, Monica?
Yes, I just want to answer the first question you have there is what owning a home means to you. Owning a home is, in general, I think, stability, sense of tranquility, sense of having something that it belongs to you where you're going to be there. It doesn't matter how big your house is or how special the house is that you own, that owning your home, you're going to have, owning your house is going to make a home. And that's so important to own a home. And that's why I've been lucky for having home all the time, except in little periods of my life. And when I had to wait to have another home, it was a little difficult. So because it's like losing your grounds when you don't have your own home. So I think that's why it's so important for everybody to own. It doesn't matter what type of home or house, so you can make a home. So I think that's why it's so important for make it easy for everybody to own a house and have a home.
Thank you, Monica.
I don't know, Alexis, if we have time, I want to share something like from my point of view. Like, I just want to let you know, like some communities that's like, if they will not own the house, they will not feel they belong to that area. And if they will not own home, they will not feel stability, especially for people who moved a lot, like me. I moved maybe 13 times because of the war. And so I tried to own house for now maybe more than 2 years, is like I couldn't, honestly, I cannot afford like to buy a house. Even and some other communities, they don't like, they feel shy even to buy like condo or like or apartment or like townhouse, because some communities, especially from where I came from, they are so proud of themselves, and they will feel shame if they will buy like small house, because how, like example, Ahmed, he will live in this tiny house. So this is another issue, like maybe we will need to not just like work with the communities to how we can even change that mentality. Like, let's have house now, save house, you can live right now, and maybe for the dream house, you can look into that after maybe 5 years, 3 years from now. We don't know. So I just want to share those information about like some community, how they think about own house and how they look to the like to that like as a dream or like as something it's must have, and it's not an optional for some communities. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Ahmed.
Thank you. Manijeh, I think you have.
Thank you. I want to give you some experience that I have from Iran. In Iran, everybody almost owns a house. So, like for me, growing up, there wasn't a house that I lived in and we didn't own it. I mean, I tell you this to laugh, that men couldn't get married if they didn't have a house. They couldn't find the wife unless they had a house. They said, he doesn't own a house. How can we trust him with our daughter or something like that? I'm just adding that. And when I came to the States like 34 years ago, and I found out that if you don't make a payment on 1 month or so, you will lose the house that you're living in. And I mean, almost nobody kind of owns a house, and all the houses and all belong to the banks. So that was kind of a cultural shock for me when I came. And so ever since I've been in the States, and on the only years that I stayed with my brother, it was like my brother owned his house. After that, I've been always renting my place, and it's kind of new. It was new for me. I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Well, I appreciate y'all sharing your perspectives. I've been talking to a lot of community members, and it's just fascinating to hear how everybody's lived experience and like where they come from really determines how they see themselves in like building a home or having a home or whatever that looks like. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think in that same kind of topic of like, if you could buy your home for yourself and your family, is there something right now that is keeping you from doing that? I know I've heard a lot from the community, like loans have been a big thing in that, people not even able to like find housing that is like their price range. I just would love to hear if anybody has experiences with that.
I can share like one of these. Like I have a friend, we helped him to get a loan to buy a house in Beaverton, and honestly, he was lucky because the bank able to provide like 400,000 loan, but he couldn't find like any house in that price, and he denied the loan, and he just stepped back from that plan.
Yeah, that's a big issue for sure, is the finding something that's of that price, like the housing stock, and then also like the price. Is there housing available, but also it's so expensive.
Yeah, like now even like the owners, like they call or they want like sell their house with 500, we will have this look like an auction, and that house maybe will end up within $700,000. Like it's even the they got more than they called or more than they asked for their houses. And this is another issue too.
Anybody else have thoughts?
Any other question, concern, thought to share?
Yeah, and so as the city, we are looking at other options, like what I had mentioned, instead of, you know, the typical bigger houses, what would it look like if we had duplex, triplex, tiny homes, mobile homes, condos? Like, is that something that you as a community member would be interested if you could, you know, purchase that in your community?
Monica?
Yeah, Monica.
What about cluster? I'm sorry. What about cluster homes, communities? You know, the cluster communities, you know, the concept that it is one next to another. Normally the green areas are, or the homes are surrounding the green areas. And the mission for that is the people can come to the green areas together, practically everybody can. So the clusters, I was reading in the study they did, the cluster we were talking about with the other meeting that we had, the clusters create more community. It's like it's next to each other, everybody knows everybody. It also can be in a private, you know, kind of with fences and gates and all of that, but it's a community that get the opportunity to know each other in a better way and help each other in a better way. So I think for me, if you ask me, clusters will be so fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex, you have a thought?
Yeah, so as I have some friends who aren't exactly poor, but yeah, they're facing the same issue that's come up of the houses are just insane cost-wise, which I'm not sure what precisely the city can do about that. But also one thing that they've noticed and I've noticed, just like curiously looking on their behalf, it feels like there is a big gap between lot size and house size, where it's like, if you have a decently sized lot, these developers are putting these like ginormous houses on them that then end up sardined next to each other, that then those houses are completely unaffordable. So then you end up with these other developments that are like these little townhouse row things that my friends are trying to escape from because it's not necessarily pleasant to live there for everyone. So there's a lack of developers meeting the needs of the community, I think, in that respect. And like, I would like to see more duplexes and triplexes and stuff, but I also fear having like, oh, well, a lot came available in some neighborhood and they decided to use every square inch of that lot to cram as many units into it as possible, which I mean, we saw on Murray with that apartment complex, that and then the rents there still cost a fortune. So
yeah, thanks, Alex, for that. Yeah, and that's another thing that I feel our team has been you know, thinking about how to like incentivize developers into building more affordable housing. And so that's something that if you stay tuned to the housing talks, that's definitely one thing that we are going to be talking about, is like, especially with development, how to make that something that could be easier for a developer, or, you know, incentivize the developer to build affordable housing. So yeah, it's all part of this very big puzzle when we're kind of having all of these talks. And I know right now with all of these projects with Cooper Mountain and the Housing Options Project, they're exploring all of these things, which in tune is also what the housing team is looking at and learning from y'all in the community about what is actually something that they're interested in and what people are interested in. And also what are the barriers, like what you're saying is like the cost and putting all of this into one spot and making it actually like diversified. So I appreciate that perspective on that. Anybody has any other thoughts?
So is there a reason that we are not thinking of multi-story buildings?
Sorry, what was that?
Like big buildings, multi-story buildings, 15, 20?
I mean, it is, you know, it is an option of like creating obviously apartments and having condos obviously be part of that. But we also want to be thinking about, you know, the land that's available, and also thinking about supply. But yeah, I mean, if that's something, you know, that is something that interests the community. I know we've been doing it with apartments, but if like condos, that's one thing that I really haven't seen a lot of. So yeah, it really just, it's about like what we want to be able to think about with all of these different aspects, like I was mentioning. But yeah, I don't know if you have any extra thoughts about like these multi-buildings.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of more bigger buildings, like not the apartment, like 4 or 5 floors. I was thinking of like like bigger, like 25, 30 floor buildings, right? So it could also have enough community area, enough parking. So I mean, it's different than having 3 or 4 floor apartments. So
yeah, and I need to actually, someone on our team is more well-versed in some of the like restrictions and what that looks like. So I need to actually, I would love to get back to you about if there's actually restrictions on height. I don't think there is, but that's something to definitely consider for future development. Monica? Oh, did you have a thought? She went blank.
I learned so much participating on the hub, you know, how the rules and regulations are actually, even for the sidewalks and all of that. My concern is this: I have friends and some neighbors around where I live too, that they've been kind of pushed to buy like a condominium or something, and they have kids, they have children. A majority of the children, and my concept is they need a space, they need a place that they can have a yard and go and play, but they are in a condominium. Okay, if you guys are developing this, if you think it's better to have, I don't know, more affordable to have townhouses or things like that, have you think about creating parks and recreational areas around whatever they're going to build, in order for the kids to have at least a place to walk downstairs and go? And they don't have, okay, sorry, my equipment is acting up. So that's my biggest concern, because I remember growing up, I grew up in houses, you know, with big patios, big backyards and all of that. So when I was talking to my neighbor, she felt sad because they cannot afford a house. So if you guys are doing that project, can you please create parks that are close to it so the parents can walk and take their children inside of the neighborhood where they live to a park or something, so they can run and ride the bicycles and all of those very necessary things when you have children. So that's something that you guys need to think about it too.
Yeah, thank you for that input. Well, thank you so much for sharing. If there's any last comments, please, the this is the time, but also, like I said, let me share my screen again real quick. Let's see. So yeah, if you have any thoughts about just in the future, if you want to get involved, visit this page. It's the events page that we have, and I put it in the link. You can also still share your thoughts via this link. So if you're more of like, I need to think about this, you are more than welcome to look back and add your thoughts on this. So it is available to you. And if you want to stay in the know, if you have any questions about how you want to get involved, or if you just want to stay in the know about some of these topics, you can always contact me here at my email and my phone number. And like I said, visit the events page, and I will put all my contact information in the chat. I really appreciate y'all's thoughts, and thank you so much.
I'm not hearing you, Ahmed.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi,
Raman.
everybody. Yeah, I'm here at Salt Lake Airport.
Oh. Hi, Raman.
Hi,
made it.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
Well, I can hear you, Ahmed, but I think that you're about to turn it over to me for the next section. You could give me a thumbs up if that's good, or a thumbs down if you had something else you wanted to say first. But thank you so much, Bianetth, for opening that topic. I know we'll hear more from you and your team this year through DAB, so excited about that. The next thing on our agenda is that we wanted to go back and review the goals that the board started to brainstorm at the February retreat. So if you all remember, you brainstormed about priority areas, themes you wanted to focus on this year, and you all actually voted and chose 3 themes, those being housing, homelessness, and the multicultural center. And then we had this other piece brainstorming around goals for the board for the year. So what are we tangibly at the end of the year going to look back and say, did the board do X, Y, and Z? Do we feel like it was a successful year? Do we feel like we made progress on the things that we wanted to as an entity, as the board? So kind of trying to tease those 2 pieces apart. One is much more under your control, and the other is much more sort of trying to respond to conditions and what the city is doing around those topics and be useful and be influential in those. And so that's why we have sort of in 2 categories. So I'm going to share my screen. We didn't get to the point in the retreat of looking at articulated goals, fleshed out, like you take your ideas and put them in some sentences that we could consensus to, or you all could change. So I've done that, just kind of mixed those ideas in with what was there last year that you all sort of reaffirmed. So we're going to take a look at that sheet, and then get some feedback and see how you all feel about the goals, and if you're ready to sort of approve those for the year, or if they need more work. Hang on one sec. I didn't see the screen I wanted as an option. There we go. Let's try this again. There we go. All right. So here's the board focus areas and goals for 2022. So your focus areas you'll see at the top there. And then in goals, you'll see a couple different things. It's a little bit smaller so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so the first one, similar to last year, but you all articulated this at the retreat. Serve as a bridge between the city and community by participating in local events, activities, and other groups to promote two-way communication and opportunities to participate in decision-making at the city. So this is really the one rooted in you all being a bridge and looking for opportunities to be out there in the world being a bridge. The second one is be responsive to city requests for input by regularly responding to surveys, providing feedback and participating in different committees and events. So there was a call for that as well, just being a reliable source of feedback for the city when you're asked to do something, that you all follow through and take the time to do that. The third one was around outreach, conduct outreach to increase community awareness of the Diversity Advisory Board. And that one existed last year, but this year you all put in the piece around you really want to be able to attract more youth in addition to other communities that aren't represented on the DAB. So that I heard that. The fourth one was collaborate on a specific project with at least one other city board. That was last year, but I heard that again this year. The fifth one was around holding space in monthly meetings for DAB members to share more about your own community involvement and look for opportunities for overlap and ways to support each other's work. So you'll see that last agenda item that we will get to tonight. We're running a little behind, but we wanted to, your leadership team decided to switch up the agenda to make sure that there's space for that each month. So that's a piece of, that's responding to that. And then finally, actively support public events and activities that provide an opportunity for cross-cultural sharing and celebration. So there was this piece around cross-cultural exhibitions or activities. So questions, comments, clarifications, changes to those goals. Did we get them? Did we miss anything? Can't see everybody, but I think I see Monica's hand. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure about, during the pandemic, we were not able to go to places or to participate in activities or anything like that. But my personal discovery was when I do the surveys, when I answer questionnaires from the city, when I answer questionnaires from the police department, it is amazing how really they read and pay attention to it, because they answer back to you, or they make a comment about it, or I will ask. So that's why one of the reasons that I will say I want to emphasize on participating in surveys. I want to emphasize on participating in questionnaires. It is really effective. I got the experience of that I really did not realize that before, because we used to go, to participate in events, or we have our table in some events. So we don't have that for now. So I really, really feel like participating in the surveys is somehow a way to be active and to give your input and everything. It's really good. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Monica. Hero.
Yeah, I just have a comment. So we have number 6, where we are talking about having the cross-cultural exhibition sharing. And also in the Liaison, we have this Welcoming Week grant, which also kind of promotes the same thing. I was thinking if there is a way to advertise or share this together and encourage communities to come up with some kind of plan where we have multiple cultural background people coming and sharing their, and like having some kind of exhibition. Because like city is providing a grant for that, for that cross-cultural community events, and our focus is to have some kind of activity around that. So it just came to my mind, so I'm just sharing.
I think some sort of involvement in Welcoming Week by DAB would be great. There's been sort of sporadic involvement and mostly by individuals, but answer some sort of activity or just help with outreach to make sure to get other people in.
Yep.
Which one of those two? Are you talking about the board doing something itself, or?
I mean, I am ready to myself if board decides to do that. But if because it will need some kind of commitment from our team. But if that's not feasible for this year, because we already have that discussion for the year, then definitely we should spread it in the community and encourage them to do that.
Thanks. That's great. Other comments, edits, additions, affirmations?
Alexis, can you show number 6? I cannot read number 6. It's too low.
Too low?
Yeah.
Actively support. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to have it on one screen. I'll make it a little bit smaller so they all fit better.
A
A
little
higher?
Yeah, because it's covered with our pictures.
Oh, I see. Was that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was thinking about sometimes, unfortunately, not all of our cultures we are able to present. And we used to do every month. Remember that we will do it culture sharing and we present culture sharing. So unfortunately, I know that the board right now is not very diverse, like people from different places. So I feel, how can I do this in a better way if I don't have a support from others? Or I want to feel again that diversity that we had it and sharing every month. That's something that is really in my mind. And I know we don't have that many representatives from every culture. So I don't know, that's something that it is in my head. I always want to know what can we do about it? How can we do it? So I respect everybody, but the diversity right now is kind of, I know that this is my last year and I'm thinking who's gonna come to represent my culture, my ethnicity, so that's something that is really, I want to hear more from the Anglo people too. We have Alex. Alex, I want to hear more from you, something from where you are or your family come from. So I want to hear something like that too. So I don't know. Can you share with us maybe one of those meetings? So that's all I want to say. It's running in my head, how we're going to do that to make a little more diverse.
Yeah, so Monica, so number 3 is around outreach to increase awareness of the DAB and with the goal of attracting more communities to be on the DAB. So does that feel like that represents most of what you're hoping for in terms of like thinking intentionally about who are we bringing onto the board as people are transitioning off? Or are you hoping for something specifically, a goal about content in the meetings?
Yeah, I was tying the number 6 and number 3 in a way that if we do number 3, we were able to do number 3, number 6 is going to come automatically, practically, because we're going to have more people to share from totally different places. And I miss that. I miss what we had. I don't know, it's because of the way we are conducting our meetings or what it is that is not more tangible as the way it used to be. So I don't know. I just hope that soon we're going to start having in-person meetings. So I don't know. But I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear from all of us, each of us. Where you come from, what it is, your traditions, and what you do, those things that we really enjoy it. We really did enjoy before very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Monica. I think even as a member, we have responsibility that we spare the word, like when we will have opening, invite people, we can, or we trust they can be the voice for that community. We know they are active in their community. People, they know them, and he can advocate for his community. So we as a member, we have responsibility to invite like new blood every year for to apply for this board.
I've met there is something that I wonder that how can we do better on that part, like social media, or how can we publicize that? That's the part that, yeah, we can do it one-on-one, maybe, among our friends or something, or people that we know. But do you have an idea what else to do? Like,
I think Beaverton Night Market, and we're having booth and let people know about our board and any activities any board member can attend and let us know, and he can represent, like talking about our board and advocate for our board and let people, yes, we are exist and we are here to help and we will be your voice. So I think any activity in the community we can attend and let people know, and we will do like open house maybe this year or next year to invite people. Especially we can even target, if we will target youth, we can even coordinate with Beaverton School District, and maybe we can do event for all high schools, or maybe each high schools we can coordinate with them or send a flyer, or we can do a lot about this.
When you mentioned the night market, it just came a thought to my head, even that my hair is curling right now, but it's coming thoughts. Maybe we can have a table where we can sign up people if they want the idea of participating as a board members. I don't know, something like that. That it will be cool. Thank you, Ahmed.
You are so welcome.
So I want to make sure that thanks for that dialogue. I want to make sure that there's time for the last agenda item. So I don't hear a lot of changes to the goals. I just hear a desire to dig in and figure out how do we actually do these things and make sure they come true. So I want to just offer, Ahmed, I don't know if you feel like we're at a point where you'd like to call a vote to just adopt these 6 goals as the goals for this year. Or if it feels like we're not ready for that, then we can wait on that. But I think it'd be really great to have a document that is, we feel like the goal, the board has adopted fully the priority areas and the goals, and then the leadership team can keep figuring out how to move this into agendas and action. So my suggestion would be, if there's general agreement, that you go ahead and call a vote to adopt them for this year.
Sorry, I had one question, Alexis.
Sure.
So we've put cultural sharing in meetings, but I thought that's what we're doing anyway, right? For the last 2 years that I've been here, so that's what I've seen.
I'm sorry, I just kind of put some notes here from the discussion. I didn't hear suggestions to change the 6 goals, the language in the 6 goals. So yeah, so I'm sorry. So what you'd be voting on is the 6 goals, the text in black. The red is just kind of I don't want to lose this piece, so that we can keep discussing. So yeah, so don't, these are just notes. Thank you for that.
And I heard Monica say that there was things that she's missing about what historically was done, but it'd be interesting to know what historically was done so that we can have an idea of what needs to be done. I'm not quite sure I understood what we need to do to historically repeat what was done. What's missing? What are we missing that we should be doing that has been historically done?
I think to begin, we need to get more people from different places. That's more than anything. And when we have that, every time we have every month the culture sharing, we hear from different people, different countries, very separate, and that's what DAB was a very exciting group. Beside all the work we did, it is, and in my personal experience, and I'm saying, okay, this is Monica Estrella talking, I am missing that part. I don't see that much anymore. And that's what I want, before I leave the group, I want to make sure that all communities are represented in DAB. As many we can, and that's why I think right now, yeah, we do the culture sharing, but I feel like we need more people from like China, from Vietnam. We need people from all over the world. So that's what I'm trying to see. How are we going to work on that? That's what I know.
Thanks, Monica. But in my opinion, I feel that this year, this is my 3rd year, and this is the most number of people that have been represented, I've seen anyway, in my 3rd year. There is Annie, there's Mike, there's, I feel that Amrit, I feel that, you know, we've sort of covered the whole of the world. I don't know, maybe that's me. I'm looking at the faces now.
Thank you. I just needed to share that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for this conversation. I really appreciate it. So well, I just want to ask like the board if they will agree to approve those goals, at least so we can start to work on it, because, you know, like time matter, if you feel comfortable to approve it, we can call for the approve or vote for approve. So like, what do you think? Like, can we call for approve for those 6 goals that we discussed about it today?
I say yes, they're good.
Okay, then if there's no change, I can please have maybe motion to approve those goals.
I make the motion to approve the goals.
Olga, you have a question or?
No, I'll second.
So we have second. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
So I believe it's passed, Alexis. I think now I can say we are happy we have goals for this year, and thank you for being part about this goals. And I know with all this team, beautiful team, we will be success this year as usual. We are. And Monica, I hear you and I totally agree with you. And I think our duty will be like invite the other, like, I mean, like as a members, our duty, we will let people we are exist. If we will involve more with those community and invite them at least to come as a visitors to our meetings, and maybe they will like it and they will apply. So I think this is one of our duties, like invite other communities through our network, like as a community leaders. So Alexis,
thank you, Ahmed. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. And I hear you, and I honestly agree. I think this item in our agenda. If do we still have time for it?
We have 6 minutes, and
okay. Let's make it short, guys. So we will end with on time. We have like the last agenda item is a board member announcement. So if anybody who have like announcement can share with us, especially the good news. So we will like leave with optimistic like environment or like feelings, please. So if anybody have announcement. Yes, Amit.
I'd like to make something. This is kind of fun. It's called Holi. Holi is coming on March 19th. And for all those people who are from India or the Indian diaspora, they know that it's the festival of colors where we throw colors on each other and just have a good time. And afterwards we eat food. So there is a community out here that does it. And this year it's on March 19 at 3:30 p.m. at Rock Creek Park. And if you just show up, they'll even give you the colors for free. It's colored powder. And you just run around and throw color at everyone. So happy Holi.
Like that, like let's have that spirit and let's get back to those, that environment, especially like in person finally. If you can, Amit, if you can share all this information with Alexis, so she will be able to like all the work. If you can remind us with email, because people that are busy, if you can do that, we'll be more than happy to attend. So any other announcement? No, like other good news we can leave with, please. I think we maybe
Oh, I'll throw in another one. It's St. Patrick's Day coming up on March 17, if anyone's interested on that one. No celebration, I believe it's just probably drinking a lot of beer. But
yeah, I just want to remind like our board like that Ramadan month will be April 2nd. So if you know like any Islamic friend, or you can just tell them Ramadan Mubarak, just to let him know like you care and like you supporting him. Honestly, I have like a lot of friends, they are not Muslims, and they decided to fasting this year just to showing support to the Muslims community. And honestly, I like it. Like they that's good, like how much we are close to each other as a community, and they try to build that bridge and have same feeling. Do we have any other announcement? I think we don't. So
one thing really quickly was just to say that the council is going to be vocally supporting Councilor Nadia Hassan during Ramadan, and we'll be bringing awareness about it at the council meetings as well.
Awesome. That's great, and really appreciate it. That I think we have finished our agenda, and I'm happy we finish on time. I think this meeting now officially adjourned, and thank you everyone, and see you next time.
Nowruz Mubarak.
Nowruz Mubarak.
And Nowruz Mubarak.
And also Ramadan Mubarak.